This show is brought to you by Databril, the scalable Amazon PPC management for large Amazon sellers and brands. Visit sellersessions.com/agency for more details. Right, okay. Worst bit of advice you've ever given. I'll start with mine. There was a time 2 or 3 years ago, I would test products with only 200 units. And I thought that was the thing. But now I know that's a complete waste of time. So that's one of the worst bits of advice I've given. The second piece is to get translations done on Fiverr. Again, that was about 3 years ago and I've come unstuck. So, Kevin, what's the worst bit of advice you've given to someone on Amazon?
The worst bit of advice I've given to somebody? I don't give bad advice.
I was waiting for that one to roll through.
What about this?
If I get bad advice, people wouldn't be buying what I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay, outdated advice. Talk about some advice you'd given 3 years ago that's not relevant today then.
Jeez.
Incentivized reviews. Go get them.
Incentivized reviews. I don't know.
Lee Rand?
I would say kind of like our discussion in the beginning. I think when I started on Amazon, I was a lot more keen on like, hey, go build a brand, go build a website, like go focus on this. And like you said now, unless, if you're not doing 150, 200,000 a month, don't even think about it. Just focus on building your brand on Amazon. I think probably, 3 years ago, I would have said like, start Amazon, then like go build your own website and do that. But, I think having my own challenges and kind of getting better conversion rate than like, 1.5% on Shopify and like the amount of work that it takes, I've changed my tone, I think, on that front.
Yeah, I did that. Speaking of I did that in the beginning. I was actually creating brand websites for every single. I launched 5 brands when I first started as a third-party seller, and so I was actually fully developing websites for each of those, and fully developing like product websites and stuff too. And that was a huge waste of time. I don't think I ever advised anybody to do that, but I personally did that, and that was a huge mistake.
Cool, Sean.
I would say it's like back when I started, man. Because, like when I started in PPC, I was like, trying to make the cheds, I was broke, man. So I was trying to make some money. And so we used to do audits. And I think the big mistake I made was like my audits were inaccurate, like my forecasts. Yeah. And so I wouldn't hit those numbers. And so it'd be a tough conversation. Our audits are more accurate now because we use Search Term Report to do forecasts, and we build those in the contract for incentivized, how we do things. That's just how we manage or whatever. But I would say it's just bad forecasting back in the day when I started. But it helped me refine over time.
Excellent. Anthony, I'm sure you got a few of these.
Of course, sure. I got a few. Worst advice I'd probably ever given back in the very, very early days when I thought I was like some Amazon messiah because Ryan
Messiah. That's a good
Ryan Moran got me a whole bunch of clients, and so I was like, boom, quit my job, telling everybody how to do Amazon. I'm awesome. Back then, I used to actually teach people how to hack getting in multiple browse nodes through the flat file, which was bad advice, and the reason why is because I legit had an Amazon employee on Reddit confront me about it and say, hey, you're giving these guys really bad advice because that's completely against our rules, and we're about to stop from our Seller Central guys from even helping people do that. We're going to shut it down on the flat file side. And I was like, shit, I hope I didn't get a whole bunch of people in trouble. But I totally used to push that particular training. Here's how you do it so you can get bestseller badges and completely ridiculous, non-relevant browse nodes.
And
what?
And
no, we're going to leave it at that. That's the worst.
That's the worst one. Okay.
You asked for the worst. That was the worst.
It's only up from here. Right. Has anyone noticed over the last week with regards to people bringing various different disparate listings together to bring all the reviews under one roof? And apparently now Amazon's catching on to this. Kevin?
Yeah, it looks like. Yeah, you've seen a lot of people in the last week or so in the Facebook group saying, hey, I lost half my reviews overnight or whatever, what the hell's going on? And I think if you look deeper into most of those cases, it's people that are having parent-child relationships, and they've been benefiting by, if you got 20 products in under one parent, you know, they all share the same, share the reviews. So, you know, that as a parent, when you do the search for any one of those 20, it'll say you have 270 reviews or whatever. But I think that what they're doing now because so many people and a lot of the Chinese sellers especially are launching products under parent-child relationships. You know, they're putting non-related stuff together. So they're putting you'll see a spatula in with a you know, a car seat and a baby stroller and whatever else, you know, all under the same listing. So I think what Amazon's doing, I don't think this is applying to all categories yet, to my understanding, but is that they're breaking them apart. So they're breaking them so that now each individual child has its own set of reviews. And so when you're doing the search, that's what's showing up. So I think if you look deeper on the surface on most of these cases, that's what's happening. It's the start of something new. Or maybe testing, or it's just rolling out category by category. But I think it's a smart move because we've all seen the ones, the listings that have 12,000, you know, 5-star reviews, and you start reading the reviews and nothing's about the product that's being shown. So I think it's Amazon's answer to fix this gaming of the system.
Kevin showed me a listing like a few weeks ago that had 10,000 reviews. They have 7 now.
I didn't go back and check it. Did it?
Yeah. This is a listing, you know, of like a beauty product, and there was reviews for like vacuums and like all these other non-related products. And yeah, it seems like Amazon is trying to target that kind of thing of moving like out of stock products as variations on a listing.
You can always see a big move from Amazon is usually in direct response to some rampant issue. And this is actually a rampant issue because it's not just because that was actually the method from a lot of typically overseas sellers. It was a tactic that came, I think, from Asia, but the method was like, if you have a dead product that you're just not going to sell anymore or whatever, you just keep launching new products under the same parent, and you always have reviews. But that wasn't the only one. There was also a bigger issue that I think got some coverage on BuzzFeed, and that was people were actually finding like other people's dead listings, usually ebooks, right, from years ago. It doesn't sell anything anymore. They have thousands upon thousands of reviews, and buying them off of the person or doing whatever off of the person, however they manage to, you know, make it worth their while, taking control of that listing and then merging it with their product. So then you would see, I mean, and a lot of it was media, right? Because that's where a lot of dead ASINs with like just thousands of reviews are, and that was a thing for. I mean, I heard about it for months, and people were getting away with it. It was like crazy, and it makes sense now. But I actually just posted in a group, literally 10 minutes before we got on this call, a girl in I think the AM/PM group actually copy pasted an email from Amazon asking specifically about this issue. And they laid it out in plain English that they're now an ASIN only has an ASIN's reviews, period. And they're going to roll that out across the board because that's just how it's going to be now. Every ASIN earns its own reviews, and there's no more benefit grouping.
So the question is, what's going to be displayed in the search results, right? Because the search results going to be, let's say you have a listing of variations, the search results will only show the reviews for that specific product that you're clicking on in the search results.
The email
so specifically your best-selling variation.
If you have 0 reviews, you won't see any review for that ASIN. Like if you sell a pink one and it has 0 reviews, blue one has 50, your pink one's going to show up and you're not going to see any reviews on there. That literally every ASIN only earns its own reviews, and that it specifically does that.
So when Amazon chooses the ASIN, then it's typically the best-selling or best-converting one. So that's what's going to be displayed.
And if that's the one that doesn't have any reviews, then so be it.
Yeah. So the only advantage of that then is when the person finally does click through to the product page is that they can choose from the different variations in there.
Yeah, it's
well, right. And then I guess if they click on another variations, maybe a lot of reviews will show up if it has reviews.
I'm thinking this is actually like for those of us in the know, we should definitely pay attention. I'm thinking this is an interesting thing to monitor, how quickly variations that used to show up that don't have as many reviews are replaced by, like, this can really tell us, this is just a different data point we can look at. This can really tell us how important reviews are to the customers, because we can start noticing now if they're breaking them up, whether or not listings with more reviews start making their way to those page ones over their variation counterparts that used to be more popular but have less reviews, if that's even a possible thing.
It'll be interesting to see certain categories. I have some products in the clothing category. I haven't seen anything split up there yet, but it'll be interesting because, with so many sizes and colors, to see like how the review numbers would drop dramatically, because you group so many
skeptical
together.
If they're going to do it there, though. Like,
well,
there's
that's what I'm saying.
Categories where like variations are necessary, right? Like, you can't have shoes without variations unless you're the one guy selling one size. Like, it's just not going to happen.
Right.
So,
yeah. So
I'd be curious.
It'd be interesting to see if they do it across all categories or only in certain categories.
Yeah, it's like certain categories of BSR. There's two: sports and outdoors and clothing, I believe, are the two where the BSR across all variations is the same.
It's the same in clothing.
Yeah, it's clothing and sports and outdoors. So all variations carry the same BSR. So that can, when people are doing product research, that can be a major downfall as well. You may, the pink variation may only sell, two a month, but it's got a BSR of 2,000 because it carries the same BSR as the blue version. So a lot of people aren't aware of that. So when they're using Jungle Scout or Market Intelligence or one of these other tools, X-Ray or whatever, you got to be careful with that in those categories. And most people don't realize that.
You got to read the reviews and see which variations people are reviewing and buying.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think on what would be an ideal review platform? From my point of view, I'm quite happy that we don't have to look to going after hundreds, if not thousands, of reviews. Because I think the marketplace and sellers try and look to others, for example, right? It doesn't mean that they're tested. So they go, well, he's got 100 reviews or she's got 150 reviews. Therefore, that's the amount we need, which isn't true because it's going to be coming down to the product. But with Amazon moving the feedback to the seller, it's down to 12 months now. I'd like to see that happen with reviews.
Yeah, I would too. I think it's difficult. I mean, you think of a product that has 10,000 legitimate reviews. It's very difficult to compete with that from a social mindset.
Yeah.
And a lot of those reviews might be 4 years old or 3 years old, or maybe the product has been changed. So now the product sucks versus it was good before, or vice versa. So it's difficult to give the customer the best experience on Amazon by having those reviews just aggregate over time. It should be, I agree with you, Danny, it should be a 12-month period, because like Liron, for example, he put out his product, he just said it earlier, it went down to a 3.5 star. He made some improvements to it, but he's fucked, because he can't, now he's fixed the problem, but he's penalized for the past problem, and so all future sales so they got to fix. Amazon's all about the customer experience and doing what's right for the customer, and I think they need to really consider changing the way it is and either capping it at a certain number, or it's only a trailing 12 months or something. And I think that'll be good for everybody. It's for us as sellers, give us opportunity to get into markets that we might not otherwise be able to, and also good for the customer so that they can see.
It wouldn't be good for some of their bigger vendors, though. And you got to think, I know there's a lot of everybody agrees, like Amazon does everything for the customer, but you have to realize that their other customer are these big brands, these huge vendors. And I'm skeptical.
Do those vendors care about reviews as much as we do? Like, I don't know if those vendors care as much about
it will if we start taking bigger pieces of their market share. If we legitimately, as third-party sellers, can start competing at such a level because the playing field really is that level, from at least from the social proof aspect, they will start caring. Look, 3 years ago, these vendors weren't even on Amazon, and they started realizing that they were leaving money on the table because of people like us. Yes, I think that at some point they would catch on and be like, whoa, you guys, this is not good for us.
Well, I think that Amazon will counter that and say, hey, you big brands just advertise more. spend your money advertising.
Rep on the phone,
and so run some headline ads and run some everything else. And I think we didn't mention that earlier on the PPC talk, but I think that's coming. A lot of these Madison Avenue ad agencies are starting to wake up to the power of Amazon, and they haven't all migrated over yet because they don't want to be held accountable because you're held accountable for your clicks and stuff on Amazon versus it's not the same on TV. But I think a lot of them are going to start throwing money at Amazon. Amazon's courting them heavily. I had a talk about a year ago with some Wall Street investors, investment bankers that follow the Amazon space. And they're like, look, you smaller guys need to wake up. Your advertising costs are about to double and triple because these brands come in and they don't care about ACoS. They don't care about.
True.
They're just branding. They'll spend whatever it is they want to spend just to get their name out there, and that's going to change a lot of things for us as well down the way.
I think talking about the review platform, ideal is I think in the search results, if Amazon kept showing 500 plus, right? Like if somebody has over 500 reviews, do I really need to know they have 10,000 reviews? And then maybe if I click into the listing, then I can see maybe all the reviews. But this allows newer brands, new innovative products, at least a chance to compete, right? Because if somebody has 15,000 reviews and you're next to it with 100, they're probably not going to click. But if they have 500 plus and you have 100, you may get the click and for a customer to look at your product. So I think that would be a good change, in terms of just what they show in the search results. And then I also think about, what if you do have 10,000 reviews? Is this a great time to sell your brand? Because what happens if Amazon does make that change? You would think that the value of your brand would decrease, right? If you have 10, 15,000 reviews, it's really valuable right now. But if they make that change, it makes a big difference.
I like the change that you posted about a month ago or so, Laren. You caught it somewhere. I think they're testing it, or maybe where they're actually they're actually showing 3 reviews. So you have your product review, like it's an overall 4.2 star, and then you have, say you're selling tennis rackets or something, and then I'll have a second review. It says tennis lovers rate this 3.1. Yep. And they'll have sports people rate it 3.6. So you can almost you can see that, hey, why is this a 4.2, but tennis people that rate it much lower? It's because, we know it's because there's a lot of giveaways and a lot of riffraff in there or whatever. Right. I think that's something that's pretty good as well.
And they're still doing that. I saw that.
Are they doing that? Yep. Are they doing that based on subcategory? Like, is that how they're getting the tennis people? Like, it's based on previous customer purchase.
Profiling. The Chinese have known this for like a year because they're doing, the Chinese black hat guys have been setting up people over here in the U.S. where they have all these college students and stuff that will set up profiles, and basically they tell them you buy only sports stuff, or you only buy this, occasionally buy something else. So there's profiling. It's the same like Facebook knows all about you. Amazon knows a lot about you too, and so they're building profiles of this guy normally buys sports or tennis stuff, and so they can take it from that.
What about this idea, just to simplify the whole program? Like you've got the amount of reviews and you get a review score. What about if you've done away with the amount of reviews? You get to the search pages and it says 4.7 or 4.0 or 4.3 or 5, because the goal then would be to get as least amount of reviews as possible and make sure that they're 5 stars. Solves the problem, yeah?
Or you do like that, and it just, when you click on the page, then you can read them all. It just doesn't tell you how many there are in the search results.
Yeah, that could be a way of making it work as well, because then people won't go after volume. They'd be more concerned about the quality of their score as it appears in the search pages. Thanks, Jeff. No worry. Checks in the post. Anything, Liran?
So I got a chance to visit Amazon headquarters a couple of weeks ago. It was a really good experience. I went there because I'm in the Amazon Exclusives program, and I went to a training that they were doing. But while I was there, I got to actually do some filming with Amazon. They took me over to like a studio that they rented out, and they did the whole series of questions, and they had my product there. And I think this is something that Amazon wants to, they'll probably end up featuring it maybe in Q3 or Q4 across their social media. I think they want to feature more small businesses because, you hear a lot of especially the president, talking about, Amazon, how they have unfair advantage in this and that. But I think what a lot of people don't realize is that, 50% of sales are coming from third-party sellers. So I think more and more Amazon wants to showcase that. So they filmed 16 sellers over 2 days with like their stories and their products. So that was a really fun experience. I also got to participate in a brand fishbowl where they had on a panel in front of a bunch of Amazon employees where they had discussions about the advantages over 1P versus 3P. So that was really interesting. I got to hear from some software guys how, the 3P API is actually much better than the 1P API, and how more and more vendors have an advantage to move to a third party, or at least do a hybrid model. Like Amazon, they might come to Amazon and Amazon might order 100 units of a product, and they think they're gonna need 500 units, and it's gonna go out of stock. So they'll use third party FBA as a backstop for Amazon going out of stock. So kind of like some interesting strategies that I heard from what vendors are doing when dealing with Amazon. So it was a really good opportunity. I got to hear about some things that they were working on that they now rolled out. Like they just rolled out the EBC templates. So that was something that they mentioned there. It's always good for me. The reason why I go there is like I walked away with a deal of the day that I'm having. Amazon will do for me at least 1 or 2 this year. I already have a date for the next one. So I think it's always good to network with Amazon if you can. Boost event is coming up. Another good opportunity to go network with Amazon and get those contacts, because I think, like people have said, the content at the last Boost event wasn't that great, but the networking with other sellers and Amazon employees is always really good. So if I get a chance to go to the headquarters and I was able to negotiate my price on a deal of the day where they originally rejected the price I wanted to sell at. They wanted it lower because I ran a lightning deal at a lower price, but I made like 10 units available right on that lightning deal, and they wanted like thousands of units to be sold at that price. And I was able to explain to them in person, like, hey, I only, you have someone to speak to. I only made like 10 units available at that price. Let me do my deal of the day at a little bit of a higher price. And I was able to kind of negotiate. So having face-to-face contact, and if you can network with Amazon, I think is a great opportunity.
Fantastic. Kevin, anything you want to add before we go?
No.
I want to add one thing, maybe. I just want to say, Danny, congratulations on your 100th show. I always get really good feedback, and I get people emailing me and messaging me and stuff after I come on your show. I'm sure the other guys kind of experience the same thing. I think it kind of just goes to show that you don't have a million views on your YouTube videos, but I think you have a really good engaged audience who watches everything you put out. So
no, thank you. I mean, my goal's never been to, if I wanted to go mass market with this, I'd go after the newbies and stuff, and that's easy to try and bring in those guys, but it's not what I wanted to do. I think there's some great podcasts like Scott Walker, what he does. I think he's brilliant for the newbies, but I didn't think there was much in the way of hard hitting, up-to-date information on a regular basis from loads of different guests from around the world. And that's what I wanted to try and create, or we wanted to try and create with the podcast and the platform. So, we don't count the numbers. YouTube and stuff like that. We look at all of our numbers across the board, and it's grown really well. We're hitting over 20,000 sellers now. Most of our sellers are anywhere from 50K a month to 500K a month. So really proud of what we built, but we're never going to take over the world in terms of sheer numbers. But I'm more concerned about dedicated, smart sellers and trying to give them the best information possible.
Yeah, what I like is you cut straight to the chase. There's no what'd your dog do today?
If I talk to me. Give me the.
I didn't know people were curious.
There's some podcast out there where you got to scroll to the 20-minute mark to actually get something.
Right.
Seller sessions is like, okay, you better not miss the beginning or you're going to miss something cool. But yours is one I can't listen to on 2x. But others you can do 2, 3x. But yours, I got to go a little slower because I might miss something.
And Sean, again, thank you. No, but the thing is, what makes the show is It's not me. I haven't got to come up with the content every week. I'm a nosy bastard, right? So I ask all the questions, and it's my job to try and feed off of you guys to get the most up-to-date information. And I know you run courses, and I know you roll your eyes at me when I ask certain questions and stuff. And I do feel privileged for the fact that you will come on here and you will openly share. And
so your questions are intelligent, though. They're not. Right. They're from a. And you don't just ask the question and move on. You adapt with it. You have a good interview style, and you do a good job of that, of pulling stuff out of people. And I think the audience really appreciates that, because you're like a proxy for them, because they're sitting there in their car or running in the gym or whatever. And like, well, what about this? You know, and then boom, you're asking that question and taking them down that road.
Thank you. And Sean, thank you again. And also to Anthony, again, regulars on the show. Anthony, how can people reach you if they want to get in contact?
You only asked me this, so I'll tell people the email
Read
address.
and Write. Read, Write, Publishing.
Yes, Anthony at Read and Write Publishing. Read and Write spelled like names, not like the things.
Excellent.
Please don't email me there. Nobody does, thankfully.
Okay. They can get you through Unofficial Anthony Lee on the Facebook, yeah?
Yeah.
Sean?
Just email Sean@junglehustle.com.
Excellent. And Leran?
Leron at amazingfreedom.com. We have the Amazing Freedom Facebook group. You can find me, private message me on Facebook.
Yeah, and the podcast are the same name.
And the podcast, Amazon Seller Podcast. Thank you.
Yeah, cool. Kevin?
You can reach me at amzmarketer.com, or if you're in Europe, come out and see me. I'll be speaking at a bunch of events in June throughout Europe.
Excellent. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you enjoyed today's show. Guys, we'll get you back again soon. If this is your first time, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and take care.